because it sounds like what that Johnny Sins or whatever. Like
Johnny
he's gonna be
Sins.
interviewing like exclusively like male porn industry stars or something like that. Porn
Hey, maybe
famous.
that's imagine that's
Welcome to episode 69 of Porn Famous. Here we have Big Dick Doug.
all right. Welcome back to the Poor and Famous podcast. Poor and Famous podcast. Can you imagine? You know how like there's that whole thing of like, if you get into making content, like, and you're, let's say, I don't know, let's say you're just doing what I'm doing, but then all of a sudden you do one podcast and it's about aliens. And then you all of a sudden get like your most views because of that. You're then more likely to go down like that path, right? Imagine you're like doing all your things and the only one that comes through, you start getting really famous, but it's just interviewing male porn stars. You're like, I didn't want to be here, but God,
Imagine like the piece of media that happens to trend and get traction for whatever reason has to do with like pigeons, and then you get like pigeonholed into pigeon content.
every day you're just so deep researching pigeons.
You're like, I'm pigeonholed into the pigeons.
God damn it.
They've pigeoned me here. Pigeons are so funny because they're like seem to be the one bird that either just gets some weird dopamine kick, but I honestly don't think they're smart enough for that. But
to have dopamine.
well, they have dopamine for sure, but like they're the one bird that'll just like take off right in front of you, and like just their takeoff trajectory will just be like your fucking head, right? And every other bird will like either go at a strict enough angle where they'll miss your body, or they'll just go around you. But I noticed pigeons will just like fucking and you're like, Jesus, you're so dumb, aren't you?
I mean, I hate pigeons. I hate all birds, to be honest with
What?
you. Yeah, I can't stand birds. I was tortured.
Bruh.
Yeah, dude. Like if I see it, you know, like
The
chicken.
ornithologists of the world.
That would be ironic if we had to become birdcast.
The ornithologists of the world are
No, dude.
deeply saddened.
I just find like first off, bird. I had a parrot, and it ran our house. Like it literally controlled our house. Like it would fly around. So I have like PTSD from that. And you know, people are like this, like, you shouldn't eat cows. Aren't you sad when you see a little cow dying? I'm like, oh yeah, that's terrible. And now you get a little sad. I still eat the meat, but I'm like, yeah. But then they're like, what about chickens? I'm like, fuck those guys.
Yeah, well, I guess the cool thing is, like I like birds for sure, but I'm also not offended at all. I'm of the very strong opinion that if you actually truly like something, then you don't need your friends or other people to like the same thing in order for you to continue to like it.
That's for you stop liking birds because I said
No, but just like so many people they look for a lot of like social solidarity in their choices and likes.
yeah.
And they're just like, oh, I did this, like,
What do
you know,
think?
yeah, and their friends like, dude, that's all, that tattoo's awesome, that card, whatever it is, that's awesome. And it's just like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, cool. And it like secures their choice, gives them a sense of security. And I think that's like a huge weakness, and also like on multiple levels, and it's also just like literally living for other people.
Well, yeah, that's actually such a true point. Like I witnessed this so much with clients. They would come in and they would complain that they can't go watch a movie or do a hike or something, and it's because their friends wouldn't go do it with them. And you're like, well, fair enough if you want to do it with people, but at the end of the day, if you actually want to do something, you can't like lean on other people to want to do it with you. It's kind of the same thought as what you're saying, where it's like, if you actually care about something, it's not about the people around you. It's just go do it. I think that thought.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just
okay,
like, yeah.
Sorry, I want to bring it back to something that we, before the podcast started, because I feel like it very rarely are people going to listen to this and take like really good knowledge out of it when, well, I shouldn't say that, at least when I'm talking, they're not. Can you tell us about the 70 versus 99% alcohol thing? Because that was super interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I find it interesting too. And I mean, honestly, like, I guess to start, like, I just want to say I grew up in the 90s, right? So I didn't have a supercomputer the size of a deck of cards to constantly stimulate myself with growing up. So growing up, you know, go to the bathroom or whatever, and you're on the can, and like I would always grab all these different items from around the bathroom and read all the ingredients.
Yeah.
And like, and like, dude, I would like,
Shampoo
I would like learn what all the different things are for the most part, as long as it's not like some complex chemical shit, but there's a lot of ingredients and a lot of things that are just like common things, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, oh, you just kind of get a base idea of like what shit's made out of. And then that was always my kind of baseline of like wanting to understand things. And then also like it was my baseline of kind of lawyering my parents to get what I wanted. So like my parents would be like, oh, you can eat Honey Nut Cheerios. And I'm like, okay, well, Honey Nut Cheerios has 12 grams of sugar per serving. And this other cereal that I would like to eat has 11 grams of sugar per serving. And I know that the sugar is the variable that
They must have been so pissed.
lets you decide whether I can or cannot have a certain cereal. And so I, stand that I should have this one. And oh, sure, I guess if it's less than Honey Nut Cheerios, whatever, go for it. So it's like I've always thought, and I've always had this like very positive reinforcement behind like understanding some of the minute numbers behind things. Mm-hmm. And so I was to answer your question, I was at the Shoppers Drug Mart down on Esplanade, and I was in the aisle, crouching down, squatting down, kind of to give my back good posture. Shout out to posture.
Shout out,
what? My homie.
Sit up straight, you slouching motherfuckers.
Where's that lumbar support? And I had the two bottles in my hands, 170%, 199%, and I'm looking at these things being like, why the fuck would they make both of these? Like, like if it was alcohol, like, why would you need both? And it is literally alcohol, but if it was ethanol that you're going to drink, then 70% is more than enough to fuck anyone up.
Yeah,
kill anyone.
What is usually? It's usually around like 42%.
That gin's a low 40%. Most hard alcohol is 40%. Some of it's 35%. Captain Morgan's is 35%. Malibu's like 20%.
Yeah.
Most whiskey's going to be 40%.
Yeah.
And so there's the range from like 10% to like 20% or so. That's like the fermentation, any low percent, right? Because you can get 5% beer. That's fermentation.
Right.
So 0 to like 20% is fermentation, and then after that is all distillation.
Oh, so cool! I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can't get higher than a certain percentage of alcohol without distillation taking place. So that's why, like, if you want to make a whiskey or moonshine or whatever, you need a still, and you need to make a mash, and you need to.
That's so crazy. So how long was when did distilling come along? Is that like we talking ancient?
Yeah.
What?
Well, I mean,
I get the whole fermenting. That makes sense to me, but distilling, that seems like a really like crazy upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just very quickly loop back to the alcohol, and then I'll loop back to this. Sorry, just for my own brain. So basically, the difference is that 99% alcohol, because it's such pure alcohol, it actually evaporates so quickly that the duration of cleaning power that you get is compromised. And with a 70% alcohol, there's enough water content to act as a carrier for the active ingredient, the alcohol, that it doesn't evaporate as quickly and gives you a longer duration of cleaning power. And so it's actually a superior product, despite that the number of the active ingredient is lower, which you would think would be the depicting factor of its effectiveness.
Yeah, like 100%. Like, because you're just sitting there, like, the only reason it doesn't say 100% is because you can't guarantee it kills everything. But then you're like
99.9% of dentists say wipe your butt.
Who's that 0.1% that's suggesting to their dental clients?
It's a Japanese dentist that has a state-of-the-art bidet and is highly against wiping. I'm with him.
Your dentist, you're like, So what do I got to do to keep these suckers clean? Don't wipe your butt.
Listen, I care about the digestive tract from the top to bottom. Now let's talk about the bottom.
My dentist never talks about my teeth.
Okay, so now loop back to distillation fermentation. So, yeah, fermentation's definitely old as fuck for sure because, like, fruit that would rot is not going to distill, right? And that was probably the original alcohol was just like, you know, you see monkeys and other animals and shit that are clearly inebriated and intoxicated and they've been gorging upon, like, rotted fruit of various, you know, species or whatever. And so that's fermentation. So that's probably how like literally like ancient humanoids probably saw some fucked up animals and saw what they were eating and were like, let's try eating some of that. And then like we're like, what is this? How do we just make this ourselves? I'm guessing.
So because the first time you get drunk like this, we're going back to the humans that did this like via eating all this fermented fruit or whatever, right?
Well,
Do they like eat it? And then they're like, yo, that was sweet. Let's keep doing this. Or they're like, yo, that was fucked. What happened? We feel like shit. But then they're like, let's do it one more time. And then, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. I just always think that's crazy. It's the same thing as smoking things. Like, the first time that someone smoked something, let's say, like, cannabis, they smoke it. And they got high. And they're like, yo, that was crazy. But it's not like the first time some kid gets high now, because we all know what weed is. You're like, oh, it'll get you high. They're literally like, we're like, whoo, probably are so freaked out. And then someone's like, all right, let's do it again.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the question of like, was there a positive experience right away or was it an acquired taste almost?
Yeah,
kind of?
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
like were they just like, let's keep going? Or were they scared, but slowly came back because curiosity kind of thing?
I mean, yeah, it's a very good question. My best guess is that it's a little bit of both. But if I had to, like, as far as the collective human race,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of both. But if I had to pick one more than the other, I would probably pick that it was a positive experience rather than an acquired taste because a lot of non-human animals also, like, I mean, the alcohol thing was mentioned, but dolphins will collect a specific type of puffer fish that emits a neurotoxin that gets them high, and they will agitate this puffer fish purposefully so it emits this neurotoxin for them to ingest, and because they get fucked up off of it. And then they're like jaguars will eat certain psychoactive plants in the Amazon.
I was listening. I was listening to someone talk about. It was this like Indian guy. He's from India. He was I want to say he was a computer engineer, an AI like engineer of some kind. And he was talking about some monkey in India that eats magic mushrooms because they just grow there. And you've heard the stoned ape theory before, right?
Of course.
Of course. He said that they eat the magic mushrooms, and it's really weird because they exhibit very human-like behaviors in the sense of they only have one partner, and they like stay with that partner for life and have a few kids instead of just like the more like primal things. And he wasn't sitting there going like that proves the stoned ape theory. He thought other things personally.
Oh, interesting.
But he just was like, it is interesting to see that we know these monkeys are like clearly eating these magic mushrooms, and then they're uncharacteristically acting more human, that in terms of like their mating habits and everything, because like monkeys are savage. They're not like they're us, but they have like they're like everything like, oh, we're so similar. We're like, yeah, but they're way more fucking savage than us. They don't like, it's just not the same life at all.
Yeah, I mean, most things are more savage than us, but there's definitely that relationship between intelligence and savageness for sure, right? Like how savage can a jellyfish be?
You haven't met the jellyfish.
Have you even seen a Portuguese man of war, my friend? But I just want to loop back really quickly to the distillation alcohol thing. The very first alcohol ever was mead, which is honey wine, and so that predates grape wine, that predates beer, and if I'm not mistaken, shout out to Uncle Art. That's where the term like honeymoon comes from, because mead was given to newlyweds in ancient Greece and Rome.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool.
And yeah, so mead was the first alcohol, really great alcohol. If any of the listeners haven't tried it before, I highly recommend finding some good local Canadian mead, and ideally taking it to a dinner with 6 or more people. It's decently sweet, usually somewhere between 12 and 14%. Akin somewhat to like a dessert wine, because of the sweetness, but
And it's also a
not,
little thick, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
The viscosity is totally different than grape wine. And yeah, it's just some really amazing stuff. There's a few different kinds of mead. So there's just like straight mead, and then there's mead with fruits in it, which is called melomel. So they can add any kind of assortments of fruits into it to create a certain profile, similar to like grape wine. And then there's a series of meads with spices in them, which I believe is called metheglin. And those are ones, instead of fruits, have various series of spices in them to give them different profiles. And so both melomels and metheglins are absolutely delicious. And I've had, like, I remember this one metheglin that had ginger in it that my uncle made, and it was just, yeah, like the fact that I'm remembering and talking and thinking about it like
Shows how
15 years later, and I haven't thought about it maybe since then, kind of thing. Like,
speaks volumes. Well, yeah, I've had in Portland, I had a honey mead, and it was such a good. It was so funny. My buddy he's such a cheap ass. Like, he's the guy that like. And I'm not ragging on people that save money, but he's the dude that like gets the cheapest beer 4-pack, and then when everyone's kind of at the end of the night, we'll make sure he gets one of their beers, kind of thing, because everyone's had, you know what I mean? Like, they're always kind of like scrounging a little bit. So he spent like $65 American on this honey mead, and the whole thing, I think it was like Viking honey is what they called it or something, and it was like really good mead. Honey mead, but he did not like it at all. So
no.
he just gave it to me, and I got to drink it all. But it was just so funny because it was.
did he ask for money for it?
No,
Okay.
because I was like, no, man, like because I told him, I was like, it's gonna be like heavy, right? Because it is. It's really thick, and like it's a flavor. It's not like it's a lot. At least from what I remember, it's not like a casual where you're just like having a lager. Like there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's definitely a lot less casual than a lager. But yeah. So like, first there's mead, then there's the other alcohols. As far as distillation, I mean, yeah, maybe that is a slightly newer thing, but like, so the history of beer is maybe older,
Right.
I would think.
Yeah.
So you can, like, Czech Republic is famous for pilsners. So Pilsner Urquell and Czech Var in particular, and then like Bosnia and Germany and like all these other places have their own specific kind of beers. And so that's probably from a long history, but also like places like Poland and Russia and lots of those older European places also have hard liquors that they're known for, kind of thing.
Yeah, because that's what I was like. Okay, this is just my, I guess, ignorance to it all. That's what I was thinking. I was like, it's a lot harder to make vodka than it is beer, is it not? Like, in terms of not now, but like back in the day, or is it?
It's one of those things that I guess is like everything in life, where once you understand it and know how to do it, it's has a limited difficulty to it. But if you don't have both those components, then it can be infinitely difficult.
Yeah.
So it would be like if you were just fucking trying to MacGyver your way to distillation, then yeah, you're probably going to kill yourself, because the very first thing that comes out of distillation is methanol, and if you drink that, you'll die and go blind. And so when people talk about bad moonshine that makes you go blind, it's because it was distilled by someone who was not adequately trained in the nature of distillation and did not properly flush out all the methanol first before collecting the ethanol, which is what you actually want to drink.
Would you be able to quickly explain distillation with that, like, or is it too complex to be able to like run through the quick process of how it works?
Yeah, no, I can
So I have
explain
no
it.
clue.
Yeah, so basically you want to start with some kind of mash.
Okay.
And that you can make out of anything, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I saw these guys make this fucking banana bread nut, like banana walnut whiskey.
What?
Yeah. So
What?
they got like, I don't know how much bananas, enough to like satisfy half of Africa's like wildlife. A lot of bananas they were fucking working with. Anyways, they had to peel a fuck ton of these bananas and put them
God.
in these huge tubs, right? And then they add in like a bunch of like walnut stuff and like walnut extract and like these other ingredients. And then also they add in a certain kind of, I believe, like yeast or something like that to catalyze the beginning of the fermentation, because I think
Okay.
distillation also has fermentation at the very beginning.
Right.
And then after adding all the ingredients into the mash, they put a lid on it, so it's like airtight. So it's like,
So it's all like compressed.
yeah, so it's like how kombucha, you have to like burp it every once in a while because it's like creates
Gas.
pressure through the
Yep.
fermentation. So same kind of thing. So then once you have the mash properly fermented, then the still will have a couple different pieces to it. The first part of the still, you're going to put all the mash in, and then that is going to heat up, and all the like liquid, the vapor from that will go down a pipe into a different chamber.
Okay.
And that's
Like the glass thing I'm picturing, right? Or it's like
the
this.
classic ones didn't have any glass in them,
Oh,
but
okay.
maybe like some fancy maybe some newer distilleries, they
Right.
could have glass in all the pieces hypothetically to
Okay,
see different
okay.
parts of it. Yeah, the second chamber is for condensation. So basically, all the liquid and and steam and stuff coming out directly from the mash goes into the second chamber, and then is heated again and comes out as an even more pure vapor into a tube that goes down to, I think, just either directly out or down to a third chamber, which then goes out. And at the very bottom is like a tiny like copper pipe, and like because copper is like antibacterial and hypoallergenic, like if you can,
What?
yeah,
That's a property of copper?
yeah,
That's crazy.
So like all hospitals and all
Wait,
that.
metal can be you can be allergic to metal?
No, you probably can, but so because copper is antibacterial and it can't, no bacteria can survive on it, that means that nothing that could be allergenic for people can survive on
Okay,
it. So
okay,
it's
that makes sense. Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
hypoallergenic.
okay, I got you.
And
Sorry for that side
no,
question.
yeah, no. But just that, like, it's great to make your whole still out of copper if you can, because then, you know, that just makes it all cleaner. And so at the very bottom, the end product's coming out, and there's a tiny little copper pipe, and they usually take like a fucking, what is it, like a raccoon's chest bone, or like honestly it's some
Does
bone.
it have to be a raccoon?
No, I don't think so, but it can be just some kind of bone. They, in the industry, they probably have some like spout for it or whatever, but the classic, like, you know, moonshiner's way of doing it is using a bone, and that basically takes the liquid and the vapor that's coming down that final last little spout and like pulls it all together into a little stream. And so then it
Crazy.
drips off.
Is it because the bone's so porous the vapor can like...
No, it's nothing to do with porousness. It's literally just like the structure of the bone, and it's something for the water to grab onto.
Okay.
Yeah. So if it was too porous, then it wouldn't even serve that function. And then, yeah, so the liquid just drips out. And then, again, the first liquid that comes out is going to be methanol. And there needs to be, obviously, in the industry, they would have like specific chemical ways of testing and making sure that there's zero methanol content. And yeah, just like shout out to standardization of production of drugs and all of its safety, right? Like seriously, it's something people take for granted every fucking day. A few months ago, I was reading a news article online of these tourists from Australia that were traveling to some country near India. I don't know if it's Laos or Burma or what country it was. I apologize. No shade thrown in any direction in particular there, but just
I'll throw some shade on Laos. No,
they all died from methanol poisoning from improperly distilled alcohol in some like third world country that they bought, kind of thing, right? And so that just made me think of like, yeah, like how many people walk into a BC liquor store and have any thought around like, man, I'm so glad to be able to, even though this shit is cancerous, literally, if I'm going to choose to do it, hopefully in some half-assedly mindful way, at least the shit I can buy and consume is clean, standardized, safe, like that. People really don't understand the value of that. And when health is wealth and life is priceless, it can't really be overstated, the value of being able to get safe supply.
It is true. It's kind of like that thought of, it's like whenever you think things in the world are really bad, like there's a lot of people right now like, oh man, things are so brutal. And then you're like, like sure, maybe you think something about some politics or whatever. Okay, like fine. But like objectively to live now is by far the best and easiest it has ever been. And I always think that's so funny when you think of like, if you could go back in time and visit any time period, and then like people like the Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, and it would be cool to see, like if you could like jump in a thing, fly overhead and see, you'd be like, oh, it's cool to see. But the second you actually have to even be there for a week, you would be like, fuck this, dude. Like I literally live in like a hut where there's no light because we only have little like lanterns made of fire and stuff. And and then you're the king. I always think this is the funniest one. You're the king of England and you have it the best, and you have to like use rocks and throw them into a giant tub to make a warm bath. It's like, is that really good to be the king of England if that's like your style? Meanwhile, I'm just like, I'm going to take a hot bath, turn on the hot bath, and it's like halfway through, I'm like, I'm going to turn it down a bit. It gets cool. And then halfway through, I'm like, actually, I'll turn it back up to hot again. King of England couldn't have done that.
Fuck that guy. That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's so true. I love that perspective, and I love that your progeny will be slowly soaking up that perspective too, because it's very true, and it doesn't get enough attention because of the whole, if it bleeds, it leads. So everyone's got their eyes on the news, but just the quick aside about the news, like if people remember, I don't know exactly how many years, 3 or 4 years before the pandemic, there was this like international like Ebola scare, and it was like big news. And,
because Ebola is crazy, right? Like it's like bleed out of orifices. Am I wrong in saying that?
I don't know anything really about the symptoms of it.
I'm gonna look.
But just that, my point was that when Ebola came all over the news, and then the news came all over us, and was just like, everybody be very scared, brace for impact, and just like, just like fucking just getting everyone all riled, or at least providing the opportunity to do so. And I myself like definitely took myself on a bit of like an emotional roller coaster of like, holy fuck, like this thing sounds so scary. I'm genuinely pretty worried about it, and like, what am I supposed to do to, because like some people, like some humans have shit all for survival skills, but like I'm pretty take a lot of pride in like knowing shit that can like keep me alive and keep me enjoying life and all that kind of stuff, and not relying on people for that stuff, because that just seems like such a weakness on so many levels. And so anyways, flashback to Ebola, took myself on an emotional roller coaster, and then 2 weeks later is like fucking crickets, and I was just like, no apology, no recognition of like misinformation spread. And technically it's not misinformation spread, but it is also technically like a kind of a hyper polarized depiction of reality in order to optimize viewership or whatever.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and once that happened, I was just like because for me, my stress and my digestion are like very connected. So if I let myself get really stressed out, I have like digestive
Terrible
issues. So once that happened with Ebola, I was just like, fuck the news, like fuck those people.
Yeah.
And I was just like, if anything's important enough, I'll hear about it from like my wife, my friends, my coworkers,
The outside
the people
world.
in my world.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, don't need to jerk off to the fear porn every day.
Well, that's sorry to interject. Yeah, I want to say on that. That's how kind of I felt is like, so I'll be the first to admit, like back like a couple of years ago, like over the pandemic, I became like a full blown I always love conspiracies. I think they're like fun to like think about, especially more the far fetched like alien ones as opposed to like the like conspiracies about say like, oh, the government's doing this and this person's running this. I like the far off ones, right? Like that's what truly interests me when I say conspiracies. But I was full blown into the World Economic Forum, all that shit. And like to a degree I still think that's real, but what I realized was like it was like this sensationalized thing where it was like you said, the word I would use is fear porn, where I was like every day like so stressed, and I called it redlining. And my partner, literally Neve, I appreciate it so much, one day she's like, dude, you're just like losing your mind over like something that's so like dumb. Like you're like this. It's just you're like making it what it is. And so I had to like have this like big honest like realization. I was like, yeah, like you're literally like putting yourself into a hysterical place just staring at your phone.
This moment brought to you by Celsius. Sparkling mango lemonade only from Circle K. Unofficial sponsor of the podcast. Take that, Costco.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but
no. And so Neve like called me out, and
appreciated her
she was just
stepping
like, yeah, she just called me out and was like, yo, like chill the fuck out, like realize your life. I was also, to be fair, going through a rough time in my life with my dad dying and my unbeknownst known child at the time, like, so there's a lot going on. Anyhow, I don't want to get into that, but like, so I was like I fortunately had that happen to me and was able to have someone call me and be like, yo, chill out. And I was like able to see what that like hysteria it causes. And now with the like, I'll just call it as it is, the rise of Donald Trump part 2. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of people as clients that come in and they're kind of to your point, like they're too enthralled in the news and they just look really unwell. And I feel bad for them because I feel like they're kind of like, again, it's like they're stuck in this like too in the news cycle and it's affecting their health. And I feel sad for them because I was like, I'm not there right now, but I've been there before. And I hope you realize for your own like being like what's going on. And like, I get it. Like Donald Trump's a crazy dude and all that shit, and Elon Musk, but like to a degree you can look at it and watch. To another degree, if it's like truly making you feel ill and sick and like all consuming you, it's like maybe you should just step away from it, because it's not like it's affecting you more by you reading it than actually like your actual world you're in right here in North Vancouver.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been lucky, knock on, some IKEA fake wood. Oh, actually, that's real wood. If you can knock on that for me. Thanks to Bim for making that table. Siobhan's dad made a lot of stuff in here.
Really? This is a super nice table.
He made that whole desk, Siobhan's whole desk there, 3 different pieces.
Way.
He's made a lot. He's made, like, rest in peace. Bim.
Rest in peace. Damn.
But, rest in peace to your dad, too.
Yeah, rest in peace, Pops.
Great, amazing dads
Cheers.
out there.
Cheers.
Cheers to the dads. Almost put it down without taking a sip after that cheers, which is fucking sacrilege. So good thing I didn't do that. Yeah, if you want more anything. Yeah, no, that's I'm glad Neve was there to be able to offer a different perspective, and at least I've been pretty lucky, I think, with my clients. I don't have many people come in and like talk about that stuff, and if they do, if they're not able to talk about it in a calm way, I feel both personally and professionally um, entitled and obligated to just ask them to keep conversation to I got paper towel if you need to keep conversation to treatment related topics only kind of thing, right? And it's a win-win situation really, because even if they feel like they want to talk about that, and that feels what will feel good for them or whatever, vent it out or whatever, I don't care. And I'm not a therapist, a counselor. Like, I'm a registered massage therapist, but I'm not a registered clinical counselor type therapist. And therapists get paid a hell of a lot more than us to listen to people's
I would gladly
issues.
collect pit therapist.
Oh
wage.
yeah. and two, we know enough about the body to actually give ourselves a lot of flexibility when it comes to how we instruct clients to behave during treatment, because there's often this win-win situation where it's like, hey, if you're sitting here getting yourself all riled up, thinking of all the shitty parts of the world and all the shitty parts of what's going on in the world or whatever, that's not conducive to the massage. Like,
it's literally so. Yeah, sorry. Go on.
We know that like the hypothalamus in the midbrain controls autonomic muscle tone for the entire body, and that's largely impacted by stress. So, if we're trying to relax and open up your muscles, which that's generally what people are coming in for massage, then yeah, you doing these various things that are literally like very counterproductive to that is really not helpful. And I will do whatever I can to identify and, eliminate or isolate whatever that is, whether it's caffeine consumption before massage, or doing a workout right before coming in for massage, or getting all fearfully ranty about news related stuff or whatever. I'm just like, I don't care what it is. Like, I don't want to be around it. I don't want to massage your muscles if you just worked out. I'm not even going to be massaging your muscles. I'm massaging all the lactic acid out of your muscles from your damn workout.
As it's coming in. Okay.
Like, where's the tightness coming from? It's coming from that workout you just did an hour ago. Like, why the fuck are we having a massage right now?
Yeah, well, there's some people, I don't know. It's actually, I want to pivot into this. It wasn't where I was planning to go with this, but now that you brought it up, I find that I wish people could understand how much their mindset affects their body. Like if you're like the stress of it all, like you said, like if you're coming in and you're all like wired up like that, I don't think people have like an honest perception of how much that affects their body. Because I'm a big believer in like, you have to have a positive mindset and that affects you. But I don't think people like I think it's kind of a hokey thing when you say it. Oh, you need to be positive because that makes everything around you positive. And you're like, well, like it sounds like hokey, but it's true. And that doesn't mean everything in your life goes that way. But if you're able to like be more like on the side of everything's like, you can like relax yourself and be calm and good. Your body relaxes, which allows your systems to work better. So that's what it's referring to. It's not referring to this thing if you're like, oh, yo, it's a really nice day out today. And then someone's like, here's $1 million, dude. You said it was a great day. But that's kind of like how it comes off when you say stuff like that.
Just manifest it, brother.
It will come, believe.
Come to me, riches.
I wish Richard Nixon was still the president.
Public enemy number one.
Yo, so I gotta say, I was at my mom's house on last 2 weekends ago. I think it was last weekend. Yeah, last weekend. And my brother, dude, is super smart, dude. Right? He He knew so much. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, can I respond to a couple of things you said?
Oh, yeah,
before?
yeah, of course.
Just because
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
I'll,
No,
I'll
yeah,
forget
yeah.
the responses if
I know, I'd rather
pay
we
close
talk-
attention. Sorry, what was the topic you were talking about before? It was just like people and
I was just
state of mind
state
affecting
of-
their body.
our body,
Yeah,
yes,
okay,
yes,
perfect.
yes.
So yeah, the first thing I thought about was Rene Descartes,
Okay.
who I have like a very love-hate relationship with. French philosopher, mathematician, and he coined. I doubt he created on his own, because it feels like every human's ideas and creations are, in a way, like a social event that has risen to its pinnacle within this single human, because humans are just, a collection of our social interactions and our relationships and everything like that. And so as much as certain societies and philosophies might reinforce this like individuality and this oneness, like, if you think about who you are and what you are and why you are, it has a lot to do with the places and people that you've grown up with and lived in, kind
Absolutely.
of thing. And
Absolutely.
we're just very social beings. So that's why I don't credit Rene Descartes with being some like, just insane genius that just came up with this idea entirely on his own. Whether he did or not, I'm obviously just have a negative bias towards him because of my stance on things. But
Okay,
so
fair enough,
he
yeah.
created this idea called Cartesian dualism.
I've heard that before, but I have no clue what it is. But I've heard that.
Yeah,
term.
so Cartesian is just like a fancy bastardization of his last name, Rene Descartes. Cartesian.
It's
Yeah, so
That alone,
Cartesian
smart.
Cartesian dualism, and it's the posit that the mind and body are separate things.
oh.
Yeah, and that's where so all of Western medicine, philosophy, knowledge,
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that.
all of that is based upon this foundation of Cartesian dualism, right? So that's why we have physical health and mental health.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I believe in the idea of when you die, you still like your consciousness lives on. So that idea of that maybe goes with like the thought of like dualism and that. But I don't believe that us here right now, because
Dualism. I guess dualism doesn't necessarily posit anything about. Actually, no.
But
Sorry, go
what I
ahead.
was gonna say is, so I believe that in the thought of like, I guess you have this like your consciousness and then our body here. So after you die, your consciousness keeps continuing. But I believe so like, whenever you want to get into like the idea of what is consciousness, what is reality, blah blah blah, all this stuff, I have this underlying of whatever you want to think or believe until you die, you are stuck here. So like. His idea of dualism I don't agree with, although I do think there's like this kind of like dual thing. But I think as long as you and I are like alive on this planet, I don't think you can have these like the two don't. There's not mind and body. I feel like they're one and the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with that for sure. My understanding of it is that what's a good metaphor? Like, you know how light, for example, like if we look out the window behind us, we can see downtown Vancouver, which is really cool.
This is a nice view.
And the thing I find really fascinating about light, among other parts of it, is that it allows you to see everything and you don't see it.
Like you can't see light, but it's literally, if without light it's just black and I can't see you or anything.
So like the only reason we're seeing everything is because of sunlight and reflected sunlight, and light on its own aside from like obviously like the difference between night and day, so in a mass sense you can see light, like, oh, it's dark out, I see the absence of light. Oh, it's daytime, I see the sunlight. Like in that regard you can, but as far as like the building blocks that make up this portrait of the skyline of the sunlight that I see in the morning, you know, it's made up of trillions, if not septillions, of like photons of light kind of thing, and you can't see those photons.
Have you heard that they froze light? Have you seen that picture?
Was it in like the CERN Hadron Collider?
No, some dudes in Italy, they froze light.
Fucking Italians.
I know,
I
right?
love Italians.
You can't trust. I don't know. You can't trust someone that can freeze light.
Hey,
But-
Tony, you got that lighter
here,
froze?
here, I'm
It's
gonna
in the
show
freezer
you-
with the bodies.
But look at it.
Dude, I love
This-
Italians.
Okay, this is real. That's what frozen light looks like.
Is this the
This was-
trailer for the Minecraft movie?
All right,
It looks
you
really good.
imagine it's like segues into our
Yeah.
our sponsor for the pod, the Minecraft movie.
We were kidding about the
No, but-
live action.
but-
We've actually made a good Minecraft
How
movie.
can you freeze light? That doesn't make like I've been going on about this for like a week and a bit now. In my world, you can't freeze light because it's instantaneous to our perception, so it's impossible to freeze. And the other
Yeah.
one is there's only 3 states of matter, but we've discovered a 4th. So the whole world I live in has been shattered in essence. I'm not. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. What do you have to say?
Well, I just like, you know, like if you think about, remember when you were talking about how you went, like, it was in a more stressful time, and so you're naturally feeling stressed and more just resonating with that frequency probably, and it was easier to like get more enthralled with those different kind of like theories of things and stuff like that. So I mean, like my thought is that, because I remember on our previous podcast we talked about the 3 states of matter and this 4th
Right.
state
Yes,
of
yeah,
matter
yeah,
that was
yes,
discovered,
yes.
and my sentiment is just that like they didn't discover an like actual 4th state of matter in the sense of like liquid, solid, gas, and then like, well, plasma I think is the 4th state of matter.
Yeah, you're right. There is plasma, so this would be the 5th.
State
Yeah.
of matter, and then yeah, so it's like I don't think and even if they did, then that is possible, because like plasma was invented at one point or discovered at one point or whatever, right? And like think about the daily implications for you and me of plasma.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't treat the same since plasma was discovered.
But that's exactly my point. That
Yeah,
like
yeah,
as far
yeah,
as
yeah.
our life's concerned, and as far as we need to be worried about at all,
I agree. I know. I totally agree. But that's what I mean by when I'm saying it's like earth shattering. Is like I'm not walking around now being like, there's another state of matter. You can freeze light. Oh my God. Like it doesn't affect me. But like in theory, what we've known to be true is just shifted. No?
So I mean, I guess this is where it ties back to what I was saying, why I referenced like your experience around when you first found out that you were fathering a child, and also like your dad had passed away recently and everything, was just because like I believe that more and more people are getting more and more of their information from less and less credible sources.
Okay. Yeah. I fully agree with that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, that's why I left the internet and I started reading books, was because I just found that I always would stumble upon the least credible, like instantaneous source. And so I was like, yo, I got to get away from this, because that's I agree with that. Okay. Oh, damn it. I forgot what I was going to ask you.
So that was my thought. I was like, yeah, if there's some like research paper like published by some notable university that's known, or like some research center or whatever that is known for like that specific type of work or something, or they have a history or any kind of, you know, not just like, oh, some random dude in the Himalayas fucking discovered the 8th dimension or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, that's great for him.
Okay, We've only got about 15 more minutes till I have to
Yep.
get going.
Yeah.
So I've got some things I've written down that
Yeah.
I wanna-
Totally.
Okay. We didn't even, dude. Look at how much stuff I have.
We have to do another pod sometime soon, brother.
Look at all the stuff I have written down, and I didn't ask any.
That's what I mean. That's why Derek and I are like doing podcasts in general, is just because you
100%.
and me had so many great conversations when we were out for beers and food, and we are just like, oh well, we can talk about so many different things and laugh about so many different things and joke about so many different things and help each other understand different things. So like, we could have recorded that. That would have been fun to listen to, probably.
And now here we are. Okay, so here's one that I just heard this today. So I've said this, I always say this on the podcast, we are not the purveyors of truth. If you really are so concerned about something, go look it up yourself, because we're just going off of what we know, and we're not educating people here. So supposedly, if the entire world was in a rock paper scissors contest and it was a knockout, so you have to win to go on, the champion would only have to win 33 games.
Whoa.
Yeah, right? How crazy is that? So obviously 33 in a row is a lot, but
Yeah.
when you figure you like what are we at?
Compound interest, brother.
8.4 billion people, and you're like, imagine you're just at the end and you're like, yo, I've only been playing for like 10 minutes.
That makes me think about the Richter scale, right? Because so the reason they only have to do like 33 turns is because it's exponential.
Yes.
So it like gets rid of like more and more people every round kind of thing.
Right, yeah. That speaking of the Richter scale, that's what scares me. I think we had that 4.8 or like a 5 or something here. I didn't really feel it. I heard a lot of people were like, I noticed it, but I was treating and I didn't notice.
Yeah, I was at. Oh, you didn't.
It
Notice?
was on the Friday. I think we were working together.
Dude, I definitely noticed. You
I didn't notice at all. All I noticed was I was leaning into someone's glute hard, and I felt the table slide a bit. So I think it must have been the ground was shaking, so it like moved it. But the physio tables are so light, they also do just slide. So that's what I thought it was.
Were you're in your normal room?
No, I was in room 3.
Oh, physio room 3?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, and there is like a, HVAC systems up in the ceiling, and there's different parts of it. So I believe probably one of the major parts is like in the ceiling of room 7, and maybe there's a different or a lack of that same major part in physio room 3 in the ceiling or whatever.
Right.
But like, dude, when that earthquake happened, it sounded like a aircraft turbine fell on the ceiling above us.
No way.
Yeah. It was, for me at least. I
Yeah.
have really sensitive hearing though, so that like I have abnormally high sensitive hearing. So that could be part of
That
it
could
for
be
sure.
part of it. And also I felt like I don't know. I think if maybe you were in the center of the building versus the outside or something, because people in the stairwell
Right. I was
had
on the
no clue.
outside.
People on the outside seemed to know. I don't know.
You're in the middle
Regardless,
more.
my client didn't notice either.
Yeah.
But I came outside and there was, I don't want to say hysteria. That's a little over the top to say, but it was. Like everyone's like, oh my God, did you feel the earthquake? I was like, no.
You just want to say hysteric because it rhymes with Derek.
Bring it in. It's always about you.
Yeah, it's about you. It's bullshit. No, I really felt it in my room. Cool thing was my client actually stayed asleep. I was working on her suboccipitals, and she's this like middle-aged lady who's, a really hard-working lady, just got some good adult stress going on, and I know that she's fairly stressed out in general, and so I was like, yeah, this lady's like, it's difficult for this lady's nervous system to get into a really deeply relaxed state. It doesn't spend a lot of time in that state and waking consciousness, or whatever, or lack thereof, because she was literally asleep. But I was working on her suboccipitals, which
That would have been so nice to vibrate on your fingers.
well, you probably know, like, for whatever reason. Well, actually, no. Okay, dude. I'm 6 years into my career, and I'm fucking like hitting some kind of prime. It's awesome, but I'm starting to understand things a little bit differently, because I always when I used to do suboccipital releases on people and they'd always fall asleep, I'm like, why people always fall asleep while I work on this compared to all the different parts of the body? And then I thought, oh, well, all the different people that have computer jobs and all these different kind of jobs, they're doing flexion of the cervical spine and then extension of the capital and that's causing the suboccipitals to spend so much time in flexion and be really tight. And so like there's just so much of their built up like tension in there that it just sends them straight to sleep when you work on it, right?
Dude, it's funny you say. I know, it's crazy.
But the craziest part is that only like a couple of weeks ago did I think about like what parts of the brain are in that area, which is the lower parts of the brain, which they call the reptilian brain. Yeah, the cerebellum would be part of that, the medulla, the pons.
Like basically all the brainstem, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So those are all the structures involved with like subconscious or like autonomic function, breathing, circulation, heartbeat. Well, heartbeat's also like electrical, but like it's the reason you can go to bed and like fucking keep
it's the
breathing.
Nervous or the like the control center.
Yeah. So I'm like once we put pressure through the suboccipitals, what else is getting massaged?
Yo, have you seen did you have wait, were you at West Coast or VCMT?
VCMT.
Okay, you had Tia?
Yep.
Tia told
Shout out
me
to Tia, awesome lady.
Yeah, I love Tia. She told me that I was like I was at the school when Tia started. She came in like halfway through. She told me that if you actually want to release someone's subocciput, it's 45 minutes. She did a whole course. It was a whole weekend, 45 minutes straight. And obviously it kills your fingers. But I always think back to that. I'm like, what can you do to someone if you spend 45 minutes on the occiput? That must be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you would have to definitely, like, I never work on an area for more than, a little bit, just out of fear of overworking the area for whatever that means to different people. And,
I believe in that. I don't think you can just spend an hour on a quad, like or a vastus medialis or something.
Yeah, well, every other aspect of life, nothing that's been accruing for that long can usually be undone that quick, unless it's like, I don't know, like you fucking have a shit ton of debt that's accrued over a long time, and then you go like rob a bank and pay off the debt or some shit like that. There's very specific in instances, but aside from that, it's like, yeah, if you've been like harboring some addiction or some shitty life habit for like decades, like it's usually not an overnight just done with kind of thing. It takes a while, so it doesn't really make sense that someone's tension in their calf that's been accumulating for the last 30 years after they had a full calcaneal rupture or whatever, and it's all scar tissue fucked up, and they're just like, yeah, just fix that. And I'm just like, again, back to the Rene Descartes shit, fix that. Like, they think of their body like a car.
Yeah.
Or they'll be like, get in a car accident, and they'll be like, fix me, I want to feel like I was before the car accident. And I'm like, that's never gonna happen. Your nervous system, don't forget, it's smarter than you are. Doesn't matter what you do, it's always gonna remember. So this is what you do to navigate forward in the most optimal way.
Absolutely.
Forget that fix me to pre-accident state shit.
Well, how many
with the program?
How many people come in and see us and they preach like, I want to get better, but really all they want to do is lie on the table and you make them better. Like, I always just sit there and lean on, like, I feel the worst for anyone in the healthcare profession that's trying to help people, and all the people are doing is literally like looking at them like, fix me. Because fixing them, like, as an RMT, as a physio, as a chiro, as a doctor, you can do things to help someone, but there's so many things they actively have to do themselves to get better. And there's just some people that come in and, like you said, they're like, fix me, as if it's kind of like a button or a green and a red. Like, you're green, you're fine, you're red, you need to go get fixed. And then you go and you're green again. You're like, that's not how it works. I don't know. I feel like the body is the yin and the yang, describes the mind-body connection the best. It's like this thing of like, everything's its own unique thing, which is very Western. Like, you can break down all the components of it, and you can break down you have potassium ion pumps that do this and this, and we know all that. And that's really good to know. That's super awesome. But it also negates the fact that it's all just one like combined thing with like your mind, the body, all that. But you have to know those parts as the science, but you also have to accept that like the science can't fully heal you, although it's a huge, massive part of healing you. If that makes sense, what I'm saying there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if I can respond to a couple things there quickly. So yeah, like very similar to how I was saying before, like if people are coming in all stressed out and they're venting to me about anything that I don't want to hear, then I just let them know, hey, I'm just finding it kind of difficult to like focus on the treatment. If we can just please keep conversation to treatment related stuff, that would be really awesome. And they usually kind of like get the subtext.
Yeah.
And so very similarly, like if people don't seem to be doing anything to help themselves and I'm of the opinion that they need to be doing something to help themselves, then I feel completely within my personal interest and scope of practice to like if I ever get someone that's like, you know, like, oh, just so you know, I don't do home care kind of thing, I'll be like, oh, okay, well, just so you know, like I have to do a lot of home care to keep up with my life and my body in order to keep giving back to the general public. And so I'm very passionate about home care, and I think of it as like brushing your teeth. And if you're only cleaning your teeth when you go and see the dentist, then yeesh. And I need you to do this other stuff because your body's starting to approach the analogous state of a tall field of grass when I'm a fucking lawnmower.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really good one. Is it taking care of your body is like brushing your teeth, and it's excuse me, it's fitness, it's working out. But the thing is, when I say that, it's people instantly go to fitness and working out as this like in the gym sprinting, like burning. When I speak of fitness and working out, I mean literally just moving, like actively range of motion, actively stretching. Like that's the stuff I refer to, because I think that is like the number one underlying of everything we do. I'm good right now because we gotta wrap the pod. Oh, thank you. I'll take that for sure. Well, Riley, unfortunately, I feel like we could have gone for hours, and we will.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I usually last like 3 or 4 hours, but today was like a minute. I don't know what's going on today.
Yeah, no. That was super, super fun. Thank you so much for coming over, and look forward to the next one.
Yeah,
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys. We'll be back.